Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So today I decided to share a personal story, but it's basically a story of how I got into Arcane Legend. So it's a bit of a history into my time in Arcane Legend, on what I did, what were the things that happened, and how I basically got into the game. Pretty much everything you need to know about the game. So back in April 2013, when I was in grade 8, my best mate and I, I think I was in grade 8 or 9, but my best mate, his name is Arjun, he learned about MMOs and he knew about the genre MMO. I never really played any mobile games, and back then I only had a Samsung phone. So he told me that we should play some games together. So outside, when we're not in when we're not in school, we can still like talk to each other and stuff. Back then, social media wasn't really my thing, but we did look for a game to play. So we downloaded Arcane Legend. He became a rogue. I became a warrior because I just thought the manly stuff just be. He looked like a proper man, so I wanted to be a real man as well, because back then I was just a little kid. So we played for about level 14. Back then I think the cap was 21, I think. Not sure, to be honest, but somewhere really low. Him and we got to level 10, and back then farming XP was really hard or difficult, not like now when you have all the quests. Back then you had to kill the mobs individually to get XP, and because I was pretty new, I didn't really know much or understand much. So after reaching level 12, I just gave up because it was too hard. And then eventually he gave up as well. I think he got to level 14, I was level 12. And that's basically where our game ended. After a few months, we decided to give the game another try, and we came back. Then we got to level 17, and this is when I think the level were getting really difficult. Do remember back then I was pretty young. I didn't know I could do offers or ask other people for help. I basically had no idea that I could interact with other players in the game. So I got the game. Again, both of us did. We tried again, but it was still way too difficult. So we just gave up again. And then every once in a while, I'd get the game again and give it another go until I got to like every other month or so, I'd give it a try, see what's new. Back then I didn't really know the game would had a maximum level. That thought just never occurred in my mind. I thought it just keeps going up and up, and I was just thinking, if this is where the game ends, I don't really know if this is how hard it is. I don't know how I can get to the next level. I didn't know the game gets updated over time, so feel free to because this was my first MMO game I played, of course. Anyway, so back then we gave up again because we weren't very good, and eventually I ended up giving up again until I met can't remember the boss's name, but until we went to Kraken, when the Kraken expansion came, Winmore Harbor, Bloodhammer, that's right. Until I came across Bloodhammer, and it was so difficult to kill him. Like, it was literally impossible. I was like level 20, and this is when I got seriously into the game, and I was dedicated to kick his ass. but it was so difficult. If you were here back then, you would remember how difficult he was without a proper leveled character. And oh, am I? Oh, okay, no, I'm not. I thought I thought I was on stream, but I'm not. So going back into it, it was extremely difficult. One of the toughest boss I had in Arcane Legend. People would give up left and right, no matter what level they were. So in the end, I ended up giving up. Then I came back, saw the leper banner event, when the first jewel was introduced. Pretty much everything that the major things that happened, I came back. I wasn't part of the forum at this point in time. And this kept going on until the 46th expansion. And like right toward the end of the 46th expansion, this is when I actually got into the actual game. Back then I came, by this time I realized there were XP daily quests I could do, so I started doing them. And this is all by myself, not with my friend, because he had moved back to England and I was still in Dubai. And I wanted to play the game, so because we didn't talk as much anymore, I wanted to tell him to come into the game, so he would be like, oh wow, you're OP. And yeah, just to impress him, I decided to become good at the game. And then after I got to level 30, this is when 46 expansion was there. So I used to be on and off again many times and kept up with what was going on into the game by actually downloading it. So I did miss some of the events, like the para gems. I wasn't there for that, but I was there for the leper banner, the ghost Medusa vanity. I was there for. I was the Medusa. When Medusa came in, when Ice Spirit came in, I was there, but I was completely ignorant to these vanities at the time, and I was pretty noob, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford these vanities. They were just way out of my reach, like didn't even have 100k, even though I've been playing for years. Oh, yeah, so that's what I was doing at the time. And then one day I met farming base, which was my first guild in Arcane Legend. I came across this player called Metasari, which was my, sorry if I pronounced that. That was the guild master from farming base, and later she changed the guild name to her Arcane to Metasa. So shout out to farming base, who actually got me into the game for the first time. And this is when I realized what the game was really about. I started interacting with the guild and other players at this point. Before, I was just soloing everything. And now I actually started playing the game with other players. She told me about farming, what the concept of farming was. Before then, I had no idea what farming was. I just did the daily quest and left the game. So now if you do that, there are tons of things to do, like quest and farming gold and chest and all that kind of stuff. So this is when this was back in 2015 or 2016, when we had the Earthsort event. So I started getting into the game. I started leveling up. I was like level 28. The guild helped me get to higher levels over time, when like they helped me kill bosses that I couldn't do myself. And this really boosted me into the higher levels, because at this time they were already at level 56, when I was like level 30. So they helped me kill the bosses and motivated me to farm and teach me to farm in Kraken Mines 3 using the leprechaun pendant. So I did the quest. I farmed in I saw the event, but I kept dying. It was so difficult because I was at a lower level when the bosses were aimed at, level 56, and this was a really big struggle for me, which basically motivated me to become level 60. This motivated me to become level 56, so I could play with other players and wouldn't have as much struggle. And so I kept farming in the event, farming energy in Kraken Mines 3 during the ISOT event. And this was during school break, so I had tons of time to do so. Then I farmed XP there, I farmed energy, and I farmed locked. So I did 3 things at the same time. I was leveling up, I was making a bit of gold, and then I find to start it off, the guild actually gifted me a few luck elixirs, which I used to farm for myself. After the event ended, I managed to trade my little bear. This was back then. We didn't have heroic eggs, of course. So I had a little bear which I traded in, and 100k back then. Leprechaun was like 200k. So I traded 100k and leprechaun pendant for. I traded in lucky and 100k, and this took me months to earn. Like the 100k I had took me so long. I managed to get the highest tier on the event as well, and it took me months to get it. So I finally found someone who took trades instead of just the egg. So because I had no idea. I was so happy that he accepted the 100k and the little bear, which was like 90k. Most people wouldn't sell the leprechaun pendant. Back then it was like a really prized possession after Hisha, which gave 10% extra luck. And back then I think Hisha was like 5 million gold. And Heroic Mishi was, that's when Heroic Mishi came out as well for the first time. It was only like 1 or 2 million. Now, of course, it's complete opposite. Mishi is like 15 million, and the Hisha is like, I don't know, a few 100Ks. So times have really changed in terms of farming locked. But basically back then, I did the trade. And after that, I was very happy that I got the leper pendant. But I realized I wasn't actually looting anything. So I looked again, and I realized I've been scammed. I got the lunar pendant, which is a common scam people fall for. I felt so bad. Like, I can't tell you how bad I felt. I've been working months and ages, and this was the first time I felt for a scam. So I told my guild what happened, and they were like completely casual about it. They were like, yeah, it's a classic scam. How did you fall for that? At this time I was a noob. I had no idea that scam was a thing, and it made me give up on the game immediately, because I've been farming for months to get where I am. I was so discouraged, and it just felt like shit. But but my guild and myself, I convinced myself, no, this is not the end. I'm gonna do better and get better results or more gold and actually buy it again. So I farmed again, and next time I took my guild's advice and actually bought a leprechaun pendant from the auction, so I wouldn't be scammed. This time I farmed extra longer to make sure I wouldn't get scammed, and bought from auction. After having that, I of course kept buying luck elixirs and leprechaun to farm for the entire 2 months. And I farmed a lot, like a lot. And after farming, I made my first 1 million because I wanted to buy the I wanted to buy an Arcane weapon. At this time, the dragon daggers were 400k, and immortal daggers, which came out, were 8 million, which was a lot of gold. Like, that is something I wanted. Of course, at this time, my guild master was my hero. I looked up to her and wanted to be just like her. Back then, she had like around 40-50 million, or even more. I would assume around more than 50 million. So I obviously looked up to her and wanted to be like her. She, of course, also had the golden 25 million worth vanity, which I really admired at the time. So all of these things I wanted to get, which is why I started farming. In the end, I made 4 million farming locked. And to put this into perspective of how hard it was, I would buy an luck elixir for 15k, and I would end up looting anywhere between 6 to 8 locked, which I could sell for 5k each, and sometimes 8k. So 5 to 8k, which basically means 5 times 6 is 30. So I'd make 30 to 45, 30 to 50k, let's say, every 30 minutes, and I'd have to spend half that gold paying for the luck elixirs. So progress wasn't really fast. I spent a lot of time farming, and to get to million, it required months and months. So in the end, I was motivated to get the immortal daggers, and at this time, I had made a few friends, some merchants, and some scammers. Needless to say, I didn't know. Working ages to get the immortal daggers. By this time, price for it rised a little less, or reduced a little less. So now immortal daggers was actually being sold for 7-6 million. There is no awakening at this time, and I had spent a few million gold to buy a lot of luck elixirs, because it was on a sale. So the price went being from 15 to like 8k. So I spent 1 million. So I had 3 million back then. The reason I remember this is because of how hard I had to work to actually get this amount of gold. We'll get a quick drink. Yeah. So after this happened, one of my friends, I'll always remember him, he showed me he had immortal daggers, and he wanted to sell to me cheap because we're friends. And he knew that I really wanted immortal daggers for months, and he had it. So he told me he was going to give it to me for 3 million only, when it was actually worth 7 mil. I was so happy, and I couldn't believe it, because if I had that weapon, that's like the best weapon you could get for a rogue. By the way, I had changed class at this time to be more like my guild master from warriors. Back then, I played with a warrior at first with farming base, and eventually after hitting level 56 and playing for a while, I changed to rogue. Back then I didn't pursue in-game content with warriors because it was too difficult to master, and I realized I enjoyed farming with rogue better. So anyway, going back to the immortal daggers, I traded in 3 million for the immortal daggers. His name was Ionuto, Ionuto, and in the end I found out he actually scammed me. He showed me immortal daggers and he gave me dragon daggers because they're both red, and I was new and so excited. I clicked confirm as soon as as fast as humanly was possible. And this is when I really got sad. I didn't cry, of course, but I felt so bad that after all this, I fell for it again. And this was a new low for me. I've never. It didn't hurt as much as the first time I got scammed with the leprechaun pendant, even though the goal was so low. I just felt robbed and so cheated again, and especially because we were friends for months and he knew how badly I wanted it. Anyway, he blocked me and didn't give it back, of course. I still had a arcane weapon, the level 46, but back then it was completely useless unless you ran for the level 56, level 56 quest for it wasn't level, but unless you ran for the necro quest and you used it in the elite. But I basically got scammed again, and I felt really bad and I didn't know what to do, and I was sick of this. I was like, why am I the one who's always getting scammed? I don't understand what's going on. So for the last time, I decided to farm again, so I could learn how the game economy works. Because I'm good at farming and I can put hours into it, but in the end of the day, I fall for one scam or another. The thought of YouTube didn't occur to me at the time, and I didn't know all of the way you could get scammed, but I fell for the same trick twice and I was just absolutely shattered. And this is why I decided, I'm gonna farm gold again for the last time, and then I'm gonna pursue becoming a merchant, because I need to learn about how the economy works, so I never get scammed again. Of course, I farmed again, made myself 1 million, and I went into becoming Arcane Legend, merchant in Arcane Legend, and I can develop many strategies to make gold my own ways and use some ways that other people told me. Some are more successful than others, but in the end, I picked up things really quickly when it came to merching. I had all of the qualities. If you didn't watch my video on how to merch really well, watch the video title called how I made 1 billion in Arcane Legend, and you should see a merching guide I did, which will help you since that I've been using for many years now, probably 3-4 years. So this guide I used to make a lot of gold, and it has worked for me many years. So I became a merchant, and this is when I really started making a lot of gold. I could make a lot of gold and get really far. And by doing this, I was able to buy all the gears I wanted. I was still in farming base. By then, I became an officer here because everyone trusted me. Of course, because of how bad and shit I felt myself, I promised myself I'd never scam anyone or trick anyone. So this is when I played the game really legit. Not that I did anything bad before, but because of knowing how bad it feels to get scammed, I decided to be, really fair player. So I never make anyone else feel the way I felt myself. Anyway, so after doing that, I decided to pursue tons of other things like achievements, making my own guild, and all that kind of stuff, and YouTube channel, and wanting leaderboard vanities and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't really know how my Arcane Legend career started, and that is why I wanted to make a video. So a lot of people, a lot of you who have actually watched me, if you were interested in knowing my story in Arcane Legend, can understand all of the things I've been through. It hasn't been easy. I've been through hardship many times. Of course, after that, I have gotten scammed many times by close friends as well, and guildmates and stuff, but not a significant amount. So just take it as a message to be careful and just play the game safely, and know that even if you get scammed, it's not the end. That you can still persevere through bad times. Instead of giving up. If I gave up, I would have never gotten where I am today, and I encourage you to do the same. Take it as a lesson and actually try not to repeat the same mistake, and take it as a reason to be stronger than ever before. Of course, at the time, I felt I would never surpass my guildmaster, but it didn't take a long time. I think it took like a year or so, and by then I became way richer in terms of gold to then my guildmaster, because I was so successful at merching and farming. I'd farm when I wouldn't merch, and when I was merching I wouldn't farm. So, but of course, I have more respect for her than anyone in the game, because she had shown me the way and took me under her wing, and got me to where I am today. I would have never gotten this far into Arcane Legend if it wasn't for farming base. So shout out to them. They have always been there. It's a really good guild. If you want to join now, it's called Farmers Base, and the guild master's name is Metasa. So if you message her, you should be able to join if you want to farm. I personally haven't joined because I'm with a guild already, and yeah, and I'm already quite happy here. So I would recommend checking them out, giving a message if you would like to join, and they will show you the way, like they have helped many players in Arcane Legend over time. They also don't care as much about leaderboards, which was why they took me in even though I was so low level, and showed me the way. So feel free to send a message to thanks. And if you watch this video till the end, thank you so much, because that shows, you're a true fan and a supporter of the channel and have really enjoyed the story. So I'll end the video here. Just want to say thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.